Hi and welcome back to the channel and our somewhat rusty little MPI Mini. It's a case of just get the front end off. There's no other two ways about it. I don't know how much work I've got to do until I get the front end off. So I've done a few of these now. I've done the sidewalk, obviously cut the 89s one off, just done the Budget Clubman if you've not seen that series. And I helped do a 92 Mini Cooper. I've helped do other cars as well, but my own personal cars, I've done 3 or 4 of them now. So I wouldn't say I'm any sort of professional at it. I'm literally in the garage just learning as I go, but I sort of know how they should go together. That being said, like I mentioned, if you haven't seen the first episode on the Mini Cooper, the MPI is very different, especially the Sportspack one, in the sense that obviously the panels are different, but that's fair enough, they still go together in the same way. But once I put the front end on, I've actually got to cut the arches back out and use templates that are available from Mini Spares, and I think Mini Sport and other places, anyone that sells MPI bits basically. And I've got to then recut my new arches out to put the Sportspack arch back in. So my job, like I mentioned at the beginning, is literally to scuttle forward, I've got to sort the front end, and to allow it to take the Sportspack arches once again. So there is no two ways about it. I've got to get the cutter out. The plan is I'm going to do it the exact same way I've done all my cars. So I'm not going to sit there for like hours and hours and hours just drilling spot welds out, because you could be there forever doing that. And the problem is with this car is the scuttle's that bad. I don't know where the spot welds are. So the idea is I'm going to cut up the seams of the wing, loosen it from there, and then try and take the front end off with the front panel wings sort of attached. That's how I did the Clubman. That's how I've done the 89. So we still got the front end up on the wall. This one is unfortunately quite bad. The front end is quite bad. Obviously I need to undo the 2 bolts bottom of the subframe to hold the front panel together. Once the front end's out of the way, that's fair enough, that's sorted. Then I'm going to do the same with the scuttle. I'll trim both sides, cut along, take that out. So if you saw the video at the beginning, the first video on the Cooper, is the scuttle and the dash rail are all gone. So it's just all got to go. So that's the job. So I'm going to take some measurements first. I'm going to take a bit of a leaf out of Keith Miller's book. I tried doing it with the Clubman, but the problem is the Clubman was accident damaged. I had to just make up as I went along, because I had to put ½ an inch in my bonnet to make it fit, because the new Heritage panels are awful. We have actually got a pattern front end for this, and I don't slate them. I've got a pattern front end on my sidewalk, so they are what they are. They all come from a similar pressing. All the pressings are worn now, so that's what it is. So we'll quickly recap. We're going to have a look at the car, then it's time just to get on with it, get the grinder out. Right, so like I mentioned, I'm going to loosen the front end from here so it's attached to the inner wing. The MPIs have towing eyes, one stuck out further than the other, which I don't understand. But they've got to come out, that'll release the front end. So then I'm going to make an incision all the way up there, down there, round there. Obviously the A panel's going as well. Then once the screen's out, I'll take the screen out for doing any cutting so I don't damage it. I'll then work out where the new scuttle comes up to, cut all the way along, then see what we've got left of the bulkhead. I'm not optimistic in the sense that the bulkhead's going to be still savable. It's going to need repairs because the dash rail's just so bad. But yeah, I can't even begin to think about that until we get it off. So the bonnet is what it is. The bonnet fits pretty well. It's got quite even gaps all the way around. It sits quite nice all the way along there. The car's not had any panel work, so that is it might have been off in its life, but the bonnet's sort of staying. I think the aim is to have that all repaired and stuff. That's the only bit of corrosion on the bonnet. So it's better to have an original bonnet than a pattern one. So definitely. So first point of call, get that off. Then we get the cutter out. Let's go on with it. So here's the moment of truth. So obviously I just did that on time lapse and you couldn't hear the noise it was making. Oh dear. Oh my god. Whoa! Oh, I should be hearing crumbling there. No, it's just sealant, it's okay. Oh my days. Right, I've got to bring you guys in for a look at that. Oh my days. So yeah, there should be car here. That is incredibly poorly. Don't worry, I'm not cutting myself. There isn't any metal to cut myself on. So. That whole bit there. Well, I don't think I need a cutter for the gas rail. That's just going to fall out, unfortunately. Oh dear. It's held on by that. Oh my days. So, MPIs. Yeah. This poor old thing. If only they'd just built them properly. Yeah, that's not actually attached anymore. Right. Enough of that. I'm going to take some measurements. Like I mentioned, follow Keith Miller, Classic Mini Workshop. If you haven't seen his channel, where have you been? It's a mecca for classic minis. Him and Mark, they really do some really nice work. So I'm going to take some datum point measurements just for my personal reference. So one from here, one from there, one at the front, one in the middle, and same on the other side. I'm going to leave the bonnet in place for now. I'm not going to take it off, and I'm going to just cut down. The main reason I'm going to leave the bonnet in place is there's a lot of electrics, there's a lot of gubbins in an MPI. I'm going to throw a sheet underneath it and try and protect as much of that as I possibly can, and we'll just get on with it and start getting it off. We can't start to begin to see how bad that bulkhead is, but yeah, that's not looking too healthy. I hope it's surface rust. I really hope it's surface rust. That there doesn't move at all. It is rock solid. It's just this panel that's attached to it. So I'm hoping that the window rubber's done the worst of it. But let's get on with it. Stop looking at it. Alright, so maybe not the most conventional way of taking the front end off in bits like that, but it's how I find it easier to sort of dissect it as it goes on. So we're fiddling around with the bonnet latch there. I can't remember that you pulled it forward and then it pulls out itself, but that's that done. So the wings still need trimming back. Next off is the scuttle. So I've marked here. The new panel I think actually comes up a bit further, but what I've done is mark lower and then I can trim back, otherwise you can't replace that. I'll probably even cut lower than that just to get the bulk of it out of the way. I really need to see how bad the bulkhead is. I have found some pretty bad rot on both sides, so that one actually has destroyed the door hinge on that, and I know that door hinge is not coming off in one piece, so I don't know what's been done here. I did actually originally think this was the original front on the car, however Rover wouldn't have plug welded, and their plug welds have not been ground back, so it's had a front end on it at some point. I mean, and they just they've not been done very well either. And yeah, again you can see there that it has. Also inside the panels, which I'll show you at the end, there's stickers and stuff like that. I would have thought, well, you would think that Rover would take them off, so I don't think it's original front, and I originally did think it was. I believe the A panels probably are. The way they've been welded does look very factory. But again, I've had to get rid of these seam trims because they're so rotten, but also it was also trapping all the rust, and the A panel's coming off as well. But for this episode, get the front off, I'm going to get the scuttle off, dash rail's probably going to just fall off, and then we'll go from there. At least that's the bare bones of the rot out, and I can see what I've got to repair to move forward. We're nowhere near putting panels on it yet. I think it needs quite a bit of repair before we can get to that. I'll probably do what I've done on the 89 where I've just cut that out, put new metal in, otherwise when you're welding the new front end you've got nothing decent to weld to, you're just going to blow through. So I'll probably take out the whole fronts of the inner wings. It's the flitches. You've got to repair back now, so yeah. In my bundle of panels, I'm not too sure if there is any in there, so I'll have to have a route. But yeah, I'll have a proper look at it, but let's get the scuttle off. Barely even painted. Right, what have we got? Not a lot really, being completely honest. It's going to need bulkhead repairs. That is a for sure issue. It's just falling away in my hands. We've got both closures with the car, so. Right, so what have we got left? The fact that I can see daylight through the bulkhead is not a good sign. Both closures have come with the car, so we can put them in. The bulkhead's worse than I thought. It's going to need a sizable chunk, quite a few sort of places, if you know what I mean. The flitch panels are the worst, but when I initially looked at the car I didn't think it was that bad. But it is what it is. They're all repair panels and you can get them, so it's not like it's something that can't be done. Inner wing wise, apart from taking these off, it's really not too bad. I don't know if it's an accident on that side or I don't know, but it's actually cracked the inner wing and it's bent, and someone's tried welding it back up and not quite got the weld in the right place, so it's still got a hole in it. So we've got to address that because that's a safety issue. That's part of the crumple zone, and obviously these wings are designed to push in, if there is any crumple zone on a Mini that is, but they're designed to push in, not just snap, and obviously that one's completely, its structural integrity is gone because it's already got a big split up the side of it. Yeah, I can't notice the same thing on this side. So I think if it has had an accident, it's happened that side, or if it's just something that's happened over time. If you remember on the budget club when we had to do the same thing on the same side, so a bit weird. Maybe it's just a thing. But given the fact that there's about 25 years difference between these cars, then I'd like to think they improved on stuff. So yeah, what have we got to do next? Well, I'll bring you guys in and I'll show you the extent of it. It's the easiest way to show you. But the bulk of the rust is off anyway. It's still loads of tidying to do now. I feel quite sorry for the car. it's quite rough. So I've never done an MPI, and yeah, loads of learning to do. So a lot of people probably wouldn't do what I've just done with scuttle wise this way, but for me, this bonnet hasn't moved. This is still in its original spot. So it can be done, leaving the bonnet in place. I can get in everywhere. I can put the scuttle back in, I can put the new scuttle back in, and also, like I mentioned, the biggest thing is it keeps this engine bay really contained and minimises the amount of dust getting in there, because these are quite delicate engines. They run perfectly. Dust and grime everywhere is not a good thing. So obviously before I put the scuttle in, I'll get right in here with a hoover and tidy it all out. But yeah, let's bring you guys in. Right, what have we got? So, close-up view for you guys. I'm just going to take the dash rail out, and I don't think it'll take much. It's completely from here to the end not attached. It's literally clinging onto the door rubber there, so none of this is attached to anything. So you can literally break it off with your hands. So that obviously needs to be sorted. That is an issue. So unfortunately it's got to come off. Obviously there should be a piece of metal here, like I mentioned before. But yeah, you've got complete access here. I'm going to get this off, this lip, grind all this back. I'm not going to go right up here yet until I know where the panel's going. I managed to get away with not touching any of these wires, which is good. There's wires on both sides. Luckily these hadn't rotted out, which sort of gave me a bit of protection. But yeah, this is actually remarkably good condition, this one. But I do think it, in fact we've got new ones, I think it'll come off because we've got to do now a flitch panel. But I feel it's just crunching away on it. So yeah, so I've got loads and loads of access there, and the bonnet's not moved, so it's the best way to do it in my eyes is keep the bonnet in place. It looks a bit odd, but you know that none of that's moved. So I'm going to try and I should get the same gaps again. I'm just going to bring the wings to fit it. There's no taking the bonnet on and off. Yeah, I've just got to get the worst of it off now, and we can start making a plan to move forward. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of rust fighting. It's been a while. It's been loads of shiny builds, but a bit of rust fighting. That's what we do. And this poor little car. It's out. Right, you join me from the crusty cockpit of this car. Right, so this side's not so bad. That's pretty much all surface. There's no big holes. I've obviously got to remove the outer side of the scuttle, but yeah, that is not good at all. So we've got holes here. That will be a good 3 or 4 inch hole by the time it's knocked out. I can see holes starting from back here all the way up to there, which you can obviously see daylight. It's quite thin here, and obviously another hole here. So yeah, a bit more detail on this is it's pretty crusty. Obviously there's a bit of the dash rail left here where my finger is, my big dirty finger. That all needs trimming right back to the car. I need to make a corner piece here. All of that's gone. Can't weld a scuttle to that. That's the scuttle, the dash rail and the bulkhead. All 3 layers are rotted out in that corner. The moisture trapped on the dash rail and scuttle has rotted out of the bulkhead, basically. That's what it's done. I'm going to get a drill with a wire wheel attachment and get as much of it off as I can. Anything that's too thin has just got to be chopped out. It's just, there's no point. But all around here it looks remarkably really decent, really nice. On both sides it's like that. So just grab your torch. So yeah, both sides are really nice and clean. So the whole car is now covered in rust, but I'm really hoping that we can sort this out. That little bit here is a bit of sealant from the other side, so there was actually a hole from factory and it plugged it with sealant. That makes me laugh. Typical Rover. But yeah, we I don't know if it's any better or worse than I thought. I don't really know what to make of it right now. So it's all fixable. I'm not nervous about it in any stretch of the imagination. It's just mad to think that this is the baddest. This is an MPI thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Every MPI I've ever seen in pieces is like this, and it's just such a shame that Rover did this, because they built a really decent, capable little car, and then built it out of paper mache, which is unfortunate. But we can rebuild, and everything we do to it now is going to be better. So you've got to look at it that way. The panels are better now. That dash rail there is obviously a solid piece. Yeah, moving forward, we've just got to get that sorted. Right guys, that is me signing out. Yeah, it looks a little bit different from when we first started. I get, all in all, it probably took about 40 minutes to get the main panels off. So wings, front panel, dash rail, you saw a couple of little snips, but it pretty much fallen off. Scuttle I've taken off and left the bonnet in place, so I've got the bonnet in the factory position, or as good a position. I've obviously cut the wings and the front panel and everything off, so I can see my little numbers I wrote on it, so I can measure it all back up again. But yeah, the next job really is going to be cleaning that inner bulkhead up, tidying it all up, seeing what the crack is regarding where we're going with the fletch panels. I can't think of making it look like a Mini again, putting the front on until I've done the bulkhead, dash rail, sorted the flitches out, and then I can start lining A panels and things like that up. What I'm going to do now though, over the next few days, I'm going to soak the door hinges in WD-40 and penetrating fluid, just to try and save them. I know 1 or 2 of them are completely gone. You can't even see the nut anymore. They're just going to snap, and it's one of them. New ones that aren't genuine are awful. I've made that mistake, so you really do need some genuine ones. We've got MG Rover ones for the 89 build. We struck gold on eBay with a brand new set, so they were awesome. Hopefully we'll find a set like that for this if it needs it, but the car's worth saving. Late Coopers, there's not many about because of this. So I'm going to try and do the car justice, and we'll start rebuilding it. But for now, I'm going to trim everything back, tidy it all up, and what I'll do is I'll do the next video will be showing it all tidied back and then starting to repair the bulkhead, because let's build from the base forward, get the bulkhead solid, got a good solid base then, and start putting it back together. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also see in the link description below our sponsors Frost, who will definitely get involved with this, because we're going to need some products for sure. Primers and sealers and some Por 15 or something like that, just to go in those cavities, because it can't end up like this again. We've got to move forward and keep this car nice. And yeah, it is what it is. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one when hopefully, well, there's less rust now, so there's a plus, and hopefully we're starting to put some metal back in the car. But if not, we'll be making some repair panels up and then going from there. Stay safe guys, catch you next one.